Hello and welcome to today's webinar on invoice automation in the cloud. Today's webinar is brought to you by ReadSoft UK, and the focus will be around embracing the SaaS revolution and the automation of invoices in the cloud. So my name's Sam Gossage and I work within the Marketing and Business Development Department here at ReadSoft UK. Before we start, we also run similar sessions around other process automation areas. So if this is more relevant for your business, please go and check out our webinar section on the ReadSoft website. All the links and details will be given at the end of this webinar. So on to today's agenda. So what is cloud computing? Who is adopting it and why? What's the benefit? We will go through the different types of clouds, then the criteria to choose a cloud solution, and finally an example of working in the cloud. So what is cloud computing? There is a lot of noise around the term cloud computing at the moment. Historically, cloud computing has been applied when talking about distributed or off-site hosted services. Here on this slide, the Cloud Industry Forum gives us a straightforward definition of cloud computing. In short, cloud computing is the practice of using a network of remote servers hosted on the internet to store, manage, and process data rather than a local server. While the term the cloud is used quite generically, it can be helpful to consider just what is meant on a more technical and granular level when it is referenced. The cloud consists of three basic layers delivered as a service. Infrastructure as a service, which are the servers, routers, and physical hardware needed to make a cloud solution work. Platform as a service, which is the operating system and basic level of software that brings the infrastructure together in a coordinated fashion. And software as a service, which is the application software that you would use to achieve your business task. And as you can see, these servers are layered on top of each other and can interact with each other. So, who is adopting the cloud? The fastest types of companies adopting the cloud services are those within the SME and SMB sectors, as well as those with high human capital quotient, and anyone who has a limited scope for reducing the number of FTEs within their business, as those employees are the product that is being offered. We also see that large corporations whose IT departments are busy on other projects are using cloud computing to get around those constraints in IT. Typically, service-orientated companies such as law firms, HR consultancies, travel agents, and anyone who has a scope for reducing the number of full-time equivalents, so FTEs, within their business, as those employees are the product that is being offered. According to UK Fast survey results from February, the most popular reasons for why SMEs choose the cloud are, number one, 50% of businesses said flexibility, number two, 49% said hardware cost savings, and number three, 46% said increased efficiency. So as you can see, if you look down that list, we've got space savings, energy savings, increased productivity, a simplified infrastructure, and scalability. So it is seen that in around 67% of cases, it is CIOs and MIS management that initiate moving to the cloud. The next proponents for change are CEOs, MDs, and CFOs, who account for around a quarter of the impetus to move to cloud technology. So 96% of organizations who have taken on cloud are satisfied, and 80% of those organizations have experienced improvements within 6 months. According to Cloud Industry Forum research, the biggest drivers are email services at 36%, data storage services at 35%, and data backup disaster recovery services at 28%. So of interest are three line of business drivers that have significant presence in this survey. Office automation at 18%, workflow systems at 13%, and accounting and finance applications at 12%. So, from this, Gartner predicts a total software revenue forecast for SaaS delivery within enterprise to be around $21.28 million by 2015. So that's a compound annual growth rate of 16.3%. Now this reiterates the move towards cloud, affecting the business at large, which will have a more commercial impact to the organisation in general, impacting not only the MIS manager, but all employees through changing modes of work. So the biggest reason for moving away from on-premise solutions is the flexibility that cloud computing will bring to the organisation. Nearly half of all respondents to a Cloud Industry Forum survey stated that this is their primary driver. This was followed by cost savings and low cost of adoption. We now have a quick real-life example with one of our customers, Matrisen, which is a leading Swedish accounting company with more than 3,000 clients, with a quote from their business manager, Tor Holmgren, which explains the benefits they met after moving into the cloud. And this links back to the previous slide and the flexibility and total cost of ownership. Here we go through the three different types of cloud. Private cloud is number one, and it's an infrastructure operated solely for a single organisation, whether managed internally or by a third party and hosted internally or externally. Users still have to buy, configure and manage them, and thus do not benefit from lower upfront capital costs and less hands-on management, essentially lacking one of the key economic models of cloud computing. But, on the other hand, they do retain the flexibility and scalability elements. This type of cloud infrastructure is the most expensive in comparison to the other models. So moving on to the second model, which is hybrid cloud. Now, hybrid cloud is a cloud computing environment in which an organisation provides and manages some resources in-house and has others provided externally. An example of a hybrid cloud could be using Microsoft Office 365 as a software service, but storing the resultant files on a dedicated storage area network in the cloud or on-premise. And finally, public cloud. So public cloud describes cloud computing in the mainstream sense, whereby resources are dynamically provided to the general public over the internet via web applications or web services from an off-site third-party provider. Examples include Amazon S3 and Google Docs. Costs are free to low for these services, but you are beholden to the policies and whims of the owners. So, how to select and purchase a cloud solution, and what is the scope? Well, while considering which solution and vendor to deal with, there are a number of top-level items that should be of primary concern before anything else. You must be clear on your needs and constraints. A few examples and a few questions here in the slides to consider, such as geographical issues and contract terms, for example. According to a source from the Aberdeen Group, here are the positive factors influencing software as a service decisions. So, lower total cost of ownership being the top one. As you can see, all of these factors link back to what we spoke about earlier. And on top of that, the drivers of flexibility, cost savings, and low cost of ownership. So, what are the billing methods used to pay for a cloud solution? SaaS is usually sold via a subscription fee, most commonly monthly or annual, unlike traditional software, conventionally sold as a perpetual license with an upfronted associated fee. While longer agreements will be cheaper, part of the attraction of SaaS is the fact that you can move to a rolling monthly contract. In any event, the key point here is that you can move your costs from CapEx to OpEx, and thus avoid balance sheet depreciation, cash flow shortage, and other issues related to capital investment. So consequently, the initial setup cost is low, and it's lower than equivalent enterprise software. SaaS vendors typically price their applications based on usage parameters such as the number of people using the application. However, because in a SaaS environment customers' data resides with the SaaS vendor, opportunities also exist to charge per transaction event or other unit of value. A key driver of SaaS growth is the vendor's ability to provide a price that is competitive with on-premise software. Now, this is consistent with the traditional rationale for outsourcing IT systems, which involves applying economies of scale, of application operation, and, for example, an outside service provider that may be able to offer better, cheaper, and more reliable applications. So, moving on from this, there are a number of considerations that, when properly assessed, will help to show the options of how a new IT project should be delivered. Importantly, remember that external consultants are useful to help look at your circumstances, but only your internal expertise, and corporate guidance will adequately know the issues you have around legacy, ERP, line of business, commercial, technical, and governance constraints. So, whilst the checklist is no means extensive, it should help guide initial discussions in your organisation about legacy and technical drivers and commercial and policy influences. So, moving on now, we now get into the last part of our seminar with an example of a working cloud solution. This example is ReadSoft Online. ReadSoft Online is a cloud service for automatically capturing data from supplier invoices. In the basic process, images of invoices are sent to ReadSoft Online, where relevant fields are extracted and together with the images sent over to a target system. It is used instead of an on-premise solution, so ReadSoft Online incorporates advanced technology, refined business logic and country-specific knowledge to efficiently capture fields, both headers from line items and supplier invoices. End users only need to scan, upload or send via email invoices to ReadSoft Online. So the software will then handle all invoice processing and verification. Here are a few benefits of moving your accounts payable processes to the cloud. So overall, as you can see, you've got no time constraints on when you can get onto the system. You're up and running in a day. All you need is an internet connected scanner with no additional hardware to install or support. You then get input from any type of invoice or output to any ERP. And there will be no capital expenditure costs, as you only pay for a subscription. So here's an example of a deployment environment for ReadSoft Online. It runs on a platform as a service, Windows Azure. Taking the advantages of technologies provided in this platform, this enables us to build, host and scale applications in Microsoft data centers in an efficient way. It gives us a specialized cloud computing environment with global data storage where we can dynamically scale and provide highly secure solutions. So here are the key things to take away from this webinar today. Simple and single startup, rapid return on investment, costs are reduced as you can move quickly and efficiently into the cloud. Costs are also reduced as you can do more with less, and cloud invoice processing will give you an edge over your competitors. Now finally, a little bit about us, ReadSoft. So ReadSoft is the market leader in back office process automation and business transformation. We were founded in 1991 and have over 600 employees in 17 countries, partners in 70 countries, and we are software owner and author. You'll recognise a few of our 8,500 customers here. And to finish, a couple of quotes from Green IT Awards and Gartner. So if you've got any questions or there's anything you need to ask us, just click the link below which will take you through to a contact us page. Now here you can go straight through to one of our BDEs and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. You can also manoeuvre around the website, have a little look round at the webinars, any other business process automation, and we're happy to help there. So thanks again for joining us on this webinar. My contact details are here for you, and you can contact me directly using these details, and I'll make a note of the other questions and get back to you directly after this. So I hope that webinar was informative and hopefully it gave you more of an insight into SaaS and cloud and into our own solution, ReadSoft Online. So thanks again for your time, thanks for listening, and have a great day.